Good afternoon. My name is Ramki Krishnan, and in this video, I will be giving you an introduction to cryptic crosswords. So, before understanding cryptic crosswords, let us understand what is a grid where we solve the cryptic crosswords. Because as you would know, the practice grid which you are all attempting is for the cryptic crosswords is something that looks like this. A grid is typically a 13 by 13 or a 15 by 15 square on which you have white and black squares. And a crossword is a game where you have to identify words and insert these words into the grid. Or the words can be inserted from left to right, like in the example of 7, 8, 9, 11, etc., which is what we call across words. Or the words can be inserted from top to bottom, like 12 or 2 or 3, which is what we call the down words. So once you solve all the across words and the down words, that is when the grid is complete. Now, for each word, you will also be given a clue, and you have to solve the clue and then enter the solution in the appropriate number. For example, 7 across means you have to enter the solution here. And the number that you see in the bracket indicates the number of letters in the answer. So here, there is a 6-letter answer that you need to enter in the square starting from 7. Now, all answers have to be answered only into the white squares, but the black squares are there kept only to separate one word from the other. Okay, let's move on. Now, there are two types of crosswords. There are what we call straight crosswords and then cryptic crosswords. Now, straight crosswords are those where the clue gives you a straight definition or a synonym of the solution. For example, if you say our country, then it is India. If you say capital of Spain, it is Madrid. If it is current American president, it is Biden, B-I-D-E-N. So those are very obvious. Now, what is a cryptic crossword? A cryptic crossword is in two parts. So one part of the crossword will give you the definition, or which is the final answer. This definition will typically be given in the beginning or at the end of the clue. In the practice grid, we have given the definitions as highlighted ones so that it's easy for you to spot what they are. But in a real grid, they will not be highlighted, but you can see they will be at the beginning or end of the clue. The rest of the clue is what we call the wordplay, which helps you to identify what the answer is. For example, if you take this clue from the practice grid of 7 across, wild animal in hill station, the definition which has been highlighted is the name of a hill station. And the number 6 indicates that it has 6 letters. Now, what is wild animal? Wild animal is the word play or the indirect clue to identify the name of the hill station. Now, how do you get the name of a hill station from wild animal? That is what we will find out. To understand that, you have to first understand what are the different types of cryptic clues that you can get. So, the most basic types of cryptic clues are anagram clues, first and last letter clues, hidden word clues, homophone clues, charade and container clues, and also common abbreviations. We will go through each of them in this video. So what's an anagram clue? An anagram is basically a jumble or a letter rearrangement. For example, if you take the letters of the word dog, D-O-G, you can rearrange them to form another word, G-O-D. Or if you take the letters of the word lame, L-A-M-E, you can rearrange them to form meal, M-E-A-L, right? So in an anagram clue, you will be actually given an anagram or a jumbled form of the final answer. There will also be another word called the anagram indicator, which shows that it's an anagram. Then the letters to be rearranged to form the final answer will also be given in the clue. Now, the most important part of the clue is the anagram indicator. Because if you understand to identify the anagram indicators, that will tell you that it is an anagram clue. Now, the anagram indicator is an English word, but it's a word which indicates that something has to be rearranged or jumbled, or something is wrong or funny or abnormal. So, if you see the words which I have given in blue here, they are all examples of anagram indicators. For example, it could be something like move, rearrange, or something like bad, sick, wrong, or something like compose, because when you compose something, you are making something new. Or it could be something like crazy, perhaps, possibly, etc. We will see with some examples here. So let's take an example of the anagram clue from the practice grid itself. Let's go back to this clue of wild animal in hill resort. Now, as you know, hill resort is the name of the answer. It's the name of a hill resort. Wild indicates that it's an anagram indicator. Now, what is to be anagram? It's a 6-letter answer. And you also have a 6-letter word animal in the clue itself. Now, can you rearrange the letters of animal to form a 6-letter hill resort? If you rearrange A-N-I-M-A-L in animal, what do you get? You get Manali, M-A-N-A-L-I, which, as you all know, is the name of a hill resort. So that's how you solve this anagram clue. Let's take one more example. This is also from the practice grid. The clue is work of art I once prepared. Now again, work is the definition or the final answer, which is 8 letters. Prepared, which is shown in blue here, indicates that it's an anagram, because to prepare something is to rearrange something or to recreate something. Now, what has to be anagram? There are 8 letters in, if you look at the letters of art I once, those are 8 letters. Now, can you rearrange these 8 letters to get a new 8-letter word, which means work, and work as in something which an artist produces, right? Like a painting or a sculpture or a novel. So if you take R-T-I-O-N-C-E and rearrange it, you get a new word called creation. And what is creation? Creation is work. So that's an example of anagram clues. As it is, once you know how to spot them, it is very easy because the letters in the final clue are already available in the clue itself. The letters for the final answer. So if you just know how to rearrange them, you can get the final answer from the clue itself. Let's look at the next type of clue, which is also very simple, which is called the first or last letter clues or acrostic clues. Here, the final answer is built by taking the first letters of some of the words in the clue, or in some cases, the last letters of some of the words in the clue. And again, there is an indicator, what we call the acrostic indicator, which tells you whether you should pick the first letters or the last letters. For example, if you see words like initially, originally, leaders, starting, etc., it means that you have to take the first letter of some other word. Similarly, if you see finally, ending, lastly, etc., it means that you have to take the last letter of some of those words. Let's see with an example. If you look at the clue 8 across in the practice grid, it says, office with all good employees, no corruption, young leaders, 6 letters. Now the definition has already been highlighted. It's a 6-letter word meaning office. And leaders tells you that you have to actually pick the first letters. Now where do you pick the first letters from? If you look at the 6 words, all good employees, no corruption, young. There are 6 words. If you put them like I have shown here and take only the first letters, A, G, E, N, C, Y, and you put them together, what do you get? You get agency, which means office. So that's very simple, right? Because all the letters that you need to pick are there in the clue itself. And the clue tells you that you have to pick the first letters to build the final answer. That's an example of an acrostic clue. Let's look at another easy type of clue, which is hidden word clue. Here, the answer is actually hidden inside the words of the clue itself. And the clue will have an indicator to tell you that the answer is hidden. Indicators could be, some, inside, or hidden, part of, partly, etc. Let's look at an example. Again, this is from the practice grid, clue number 21 across. The clue says, understand some trick, no way, 4-letter word. Now here the final answer is understand, which has been highlighted. Some is an indicator which tells you that the answer is hidden. Now where is it hidden? It is hidden in trick, no way. How? Can you spot it? If you look at the letters of trick, no way, you will see in the middle, you have K, N, O, W. If you put it together, what do you get? You get no, which means to understand. So it's so simple, the answer is actually hidden inside the clue itself. That's an example of a hidden word clue. Now let's look at the next type of clue, which is a charade clue. In a charade clue, the answer is actually split into 2 or more parts. And then you are given the clue for each part. Now, for example, how can a word be split? Let's take, if you have a word called carton, a 6-letter word, you can actually split it as cart and ton. Or you can split it as cart and on. Or if you take a word called broad, you can split it as bro and add, or be and row. Take a word like asset, you can split it as and set. Now, let's take this example, which will make it clear. 20 across in the stamp practice grid was salesman being untruthful when answering a question. 8 letters. This is a charade clue where the final solution is answering a question, which was highlighted. Now, the clue has to be actually split as 2 parts. First part is salesman, and the second part is being untruthful. And when you put the two together, you get the solution of answering a question. How do you do that? Now, what is a salesman? Salesmen, we typically call them sales representatives or sales rep or rep, just for short. So a salesman is REP. Now, being untruthful is lying. If you are lying, you are being untruthful. And if you put rep and lying together, what do you get? You get replying, which means answering a question. So that's how you take the answer, and that has been split it into 2 parts, and you are given a clue for each of the parts. That's a charade clue. The other type of clue that you need to be familiar with is what we call a homophone clue. What is a homophone? A homophone is an example where 2 or more words are, which are 2 different words, but they actually are pronounced the same. For example, if you take B-E-A-R, bear, that is a wild animal. Or if you take B-A-R-E, which means, not covered, that is also bear. So B-E-A-R and B-A-R-E are homophones. They are 2 different words which have the same pronouns, which sound exactly the same. So in a homophone clue, you will be given the hint for a word which sounds like the final answer. And how do you know it is a homophone? You will have indicators like it sounds like, we hear this when speaking, or I say this, etc. Let's take an example. So in the practice grid, the 15 across clue was love a way to get out, we hear. 5-letter word. Again, you know that the definition is love. It's a 5-letter word meaning love. Now, the way the clue has to be read is A. A is A. And then you have way to get out. Now, what is the way to get out? The way to get out of a room is typically door, D-O-O-R. Now, the we here, which is a homophone indicator, tells you that part of the answer sounds like door, which is, you can say D-O-R-E, which also sounds like door. Now, if you put A and door, D-O-R-E together, what do you get? You get adore, which means love. It's a 5-letter word meaning love, and that's your answer. That's an example of a homophone clue. Now let's look at the last type, which is the container clue. In a container clue, the final answer has 2 parts where one part is hidden inside the other or kept inside the other. So let's look at some examples. If you take the word heater, you have eat inside her. Or if you look at the word noise, it has I inside nose. Or if you look at hall, it has hat outside L. So the clue also will give an indicator that whether it's outer word or inner word. For example, her around eat. If you see, it means that the word like around or contains, etc. means it's an outer word, around an inner word. And if you see indicators like in, through, cutting, etc., this means that there's an inner word which is going into an outer word. For example, I in nose means it gives noise. The other important part that you need to be familiar with are some of the standard abbreviations which we use in cryptic crosswords. In most cryptic clues, you will find 1 or 2-letter abbreviations which will give part of the word. Now, what are the typical abbreviations? You are familiar with all of them. Some abbreviations could be, Roman numerals for numbers. For example, if we say 1, 1 is I in Roman numerals, right? 5 is V, 10 is X, 50 is L, etc. Some abbreviations could be abbreviations for directions. For example, if the clue says north, you actually need to take the letter N. Or if it says east, it is E. State codes. In India, all states have 2-letter codes, you know that. So it could be, UP. Uttar Pradesh means UP. Andhra Pradesh means AP. Tamil Nadu means TN, etc. There could be chemical symbols. All of you are familiar with the chemistry symbols of, oxygen means O, Iron means Fe, copper means Cu, etc. Some other abbreviations from physics could also be used. For example, power is P, temperature could be T, second could be S, etc. Then some other abbreviations, interesting ones that you should know are, for example, love equal to O. Now, love is something which you will find very commonly in cryptic crossword, and so one of the possible interpretations is an abbreviation for the letter O, because O looks like zero, and zero means love, especially in some of the games that we play, right? Badminton, tennis, etc. Love all means 0, 0. Another common abbreviation is ship, and ship is abbreviated as SS, and it comes from steamship. Okay. Similarly, there could be abbreviations like son could be abbreviated as S, daughter could be abbreviated as D, etc. So let's see one example which will help to understand this. This is from the practice grid again. Frightens nurse in ship. It's a 6-letter word. The answer is frightens, right? So the clue has to be read as this follows. So if you take nurse, one of the words for nurse is care. If you nurse somebody, you care for them. C-A-R-E. And ship, as you know, can be abbreviated as SS. So, and the in tells you that nurse in ship. That means you take care and put it inside SS. So if you put care inside SS, you will get S-C-A-R-E-S, which gives you the answer scarce, which means frightens. So that's it. You have solved this clue, which has a container clue. So in this video, we have basically walked you through the different types of cryptic clues: anagram clues, acrostic or first letter clues, hidden word clues, homophone clues, container clues, charade clues, and also some of the standard abbreviations that you should be familiar in cryptic crosswords. And I tried to explain each of these examples by taking clues from the actual practice grid. And you will also see another video where I have given the answers and explanations for all the across clues in the practice grid. So with that and with this video, you should be able to understand how cryptic crosswords work. And with that, you should be able to solve all the down clues in the grid as well. So please go ahead with that, and I wish you all the best.